Hello, this is Mr. Chabry, and it's time for some more Kentucky Typhlosions. We'll be playing in the NGDL, a draft league hosted by the Killer Nacho. So what we're going to do is go over the Pokemon that I picked for my team, and I want to tell you the reasons why I picked them and what I hope they do for the team. So the first round was basically a bidding round. You could put a Pokemon up to bid for, and you're not guaranteed to get that Pokemon. That being said, I went ahead and put up the Pokemon I really want for my team, and luckily, I was able to get it. So the first Pokemon I drafted was Kartana, and Kartana is a very good Pokemon. Usually when I do drafts, I've noticed I draft bulkier mons earlier on in the draft. But this time I want to go full offense as soon as I can, and that's why I went ahead and drafted Kartana. So Kartana has really good speed at 109. If you choice scarf it, it's going to outspeed a lot of Pokemon. It's got good defense as well, 131. It can actually live some physical hits pretty easily. But the thing I want it most for is that 181 attack. That is a great attack stat right there. If you choice ban that, even physical walls are afraid of Kartana. But we do have the Beast Boost ability, so a lot of times we won't have to choice band it. Once we knock out a Pokemon, we'll start getting some stat boost, and that's going to help us get a snowball effect. Maybe we can get a lot of sweeps with that. And Kartana also is really good if you give it some Z moves. With that added power with its moves, it can hit really hard. And it also is Grass Steel type, so that's actually really cool. Right off the bat, we can start trying to fill out our cores. When you're doing a draft league, you want to get a Grass, Water, Fire core and a Steel, Fairy, Dragon core. And with Kartana, we can get a start on those cores. But the thing we have to keep in mind about Kartana is it has really low special defense. So that means a lot of things running Hidden Power Fire will take this thing out, no questions asked. So as long as we can play around those, Kartana should be very good. So after I got Kartana, I was thinking about that special defense problem it has, and that led me to choose my second Pokemon. And that Pokemon is Araquanid. So Araquanid has 132 special defense, and that is very good. That means if Kartana is out there against a special attacker, I can hopefully get into Araquanid and take that really well. It does have 92 defense, which isn't the best, but it is kind of okay in certain situations. The other reason I got this thing was because of its typing. Water typing is a very good typing. It helps me out on the Grass, Water, Fire core, and this thing also has the bug typing. Bug typing is not the best, but maybe I can start using Leech Life on this thing and get a little bit of health back each time. Its ability is really another thing I really wanted it for, Water Bubble. Water Bubble is a solid ability that makes it where fire moves do even less damage to you. So normally it's neutral damage from fire types, but it basically makes it where fire types are not very effective. So that makes it really good as something that helps out Kartana. Another thing is it cannot be burnt. So if someone tries to Will-O-Wisp me, I can go into Araquanid and don't have to worry about that. The other ability is Water Absorb. I probably won't use that one as much, but there might be some situations where it comes in handy. Say, I'm facing down a rain team. I can send out Araquanid with that Water Bubble and take maybe a Surf, maybe a Hydro Pump, and not take any damage from that. So yeah, Araquanid works out very well here. Also, it does have access to Sticky Webs, and that's another thing I was looking for. Around this time, a lot of people were choosing different Sticky Web users, and I needed to get my hands on Araquanid as soon as possible because I knew I wanted it on my team because of that special defense bulk, that typing, the ability Water Bubble, and of course the Sticky Web, and I went ahead and got it the second round. So after I drafted Araquanid as a Pokemon that pairs very well with Kartana, I decided I need a special attacker for my team. Kartana would be my physical attacker most of the time, and I really wanted a special attacker. And this Pokemon was a Pokemon I've been eyeing for a while. I've been wanting to try it out, and I thought, you know, let's go ahead and draft it. So Mega Manectric was my third round pick, and this thing is a very fast special attacker, which is something else I was wanting on my team. This time I wanted to draft faster Pokemon than I usually do, because a lot of times I don't realize that I've got a slow draft until later on, and at that point, all the good fast Pokemon are already gone. So this time, I went ahead and got fast Pokemon early on, and Mega Manectric is very fast. 135 speed, 135 special attack. It's going to hit things very hard. It does have some decent moves as well. Thunderbolt will be the main go-to. It also gets Flamethrower for, say someone sends out a Grass type to take a hit, for Steel types as well. And it also works well with Hidden Power Ice. A lot of people use it with that, because that gives you an option against ground types. And another move that a lot of people use on it is Volt Switch. So if you don't know, this thing does have the Intimidate ability. You can send it out, intimidate something, Volt Switch, and have that intimidate for later on. So that makes it a very good Volt Turn type Pokemon. And as base Manectric, it has the Lightning Rod ability, so if I can play my cards right, send it out there on an electric attack, it's going to boost my special attack even more. So with that 135 special attack boosted, it's going to devastate something. So yeah, Mega Manectric is a good special attacker, and at this point I really wanted a good special attacker. So at this point, I wanted another Pokemon that is actually good at Volt Turning. That way I can make the best use of Manectric. Say I send out Manectric, Volt Switch, and then send in this other Pokemon to take a hit, and then U-turn out. So honestly, looking at the Pokemon, Incineroar fit the bill the best. So whereas Mega Manectric is a special attacker, Incineroar is more of a physical attacker, and it also has access to U-turn. And another thing is it's a Fire Dark type. That finishes off my Grass, Water, Fire core. But it also has that Dark typing. So Dark typing might come in handy quite a few times. It gets knockoff, so I can knock off item. Darkest Lariat is always a good move. I can bypass certain defense boosts that other Pokemon are trying to set up. And it also has the Intimidate. So I can intimidate things. Say I have Mega Manectric, someone sends in something, I Volt Switch out, send in Incineroar, and intimidate that Pokemon. Another good thing about Incineroar is it has some good bulk. It's got 90 defense, 90 special defense, and 95 HP. And a lot of times people run Assault Vest on it. That will boost that special defense, whereas the Intimidate also helps the defense. So that just makes Incineroar that much more of a bulky mon. And that's honestly what I need, a bulky mon that can, you know, chip away the opponent, make it where Kartana has the easier time in the end. And honestly, Incineroar has a lot of really good moves. We already said Darkest Lariat knockoff, but it gets Flare Blitz. That's a really good fire type move that does a lot of damage. It gets Earthquake. Of course, U-turn's the main reason I wanted it. You can also give it Will-O-Wisps. Say you want a more defensive version, just go ahead, do that. It gets some good fighting moves too, like Drain Punch. That way I can start healing up back on my Incineroar. I don't have to worry about any burns on this thing since it is part fire type. So this thing is a really solid Pokemon. I'm glad to have it on my team. Usually I pick Typhlosion as my fire type, but a lot of times Typhlosion is a one-trick pony. It's only good for trying to hit things really hard with Eruption, and once you lose your HP, you have to rely on Fire Blast, which is not the best move to have to rely on. So I feel like this time I wanted to try a different fire type in a draft league than I'm used to, and Incineroar will fit that bill. Plus, Incineroar is my mascot Pokemon. Not the team mascot, but Mr. Chabry mascot. So at this point, I was looking for different things. I needed a Pokemon that wasn't weak to ground because I was, you know, drafting some Pokemon that were weak to ground. Mega Manectric, Incineroar. I wanted a Pokemon that could be a Wish Passer if I needed a Wish Passer. I needed this Wish Passer to actually be pretty bulky, too. Good special defense, decent defense, good HP as well. That's the main thing I was looking for this next Pokemon. Something to be as a Cleric, too, maybe? Something that could help out one of my cores. The only core I really needed at this time was my Dragon Fairy Steel core. And looking at all of those choices, I decided to go with Togekiss. So like I said, when I picked out Togekiss, I really wanted a more of a Cleric type Pokemon, a Wish Passer, if you will. Something that can heal up other Pokemon. That's the main thing I wanted with Togekiss. It's immune to ground, which is something else I really wanted. That Fairy typing helps out my Dragon Fairy Steel core, and it does have good bulk too. 95 defense 85 HP, that 115 defense is very nice. It does have 120 special attack, meaning I can bring it as more of an offensive pressure too if I really felt like I needed to. The 80 speed can be improved with a choice scarf, so it can actually outspeed a lot of things. Serene Grace is a crazy good ability. You can actually do a lot of good things with that. Say I flamethrower or something, there's even more of a chance it's going to get burnt. So that just makes it so good. Of course, if you really wanted to, you could try to flinch things out with Air Slash. I don't really want to do that because I feel like that's going to be kind of OP in situations. But the option is there if I felt like I really needed it to win. But like I said, I don't really like going for the flinch out tactics with Serene Grace. But yeah, this main thing with this one, it's going to be a cleric for my team most of the time. So now with the fairy type and the steel type, I thought it would be a perfect time to find a dragon type to finish off that other core. And I was actually looking at Latios for a second, but I decided Latios actually felt too similar to Togekiss. It felt like it filled the same role most of the time. A special attacker with good special defense that is a wish passer. And I already had that with Togekiss, so of course I'm going to go with something more offensive with the dragon type. So the dragon type I went with was Haxorus. Haxorus has good attack at 147, good speed at 97. This thing can outspeed a lot of things with one Dragon Dance, and it can hit things like a truck. The main reason I wanted this was because I needed a good Z-move user, something that has a wider range of different moves that it can base an attack off of. And this thing can get some good dragon type moves, of course, but it also gets Earthquake, which is good. Another good thing is with that Mold Breaker, Earthquake is going to hit things with Levitate, so even Levitate users are kind of afraid of this thing. And a cool thing with Mold Breaker, even Mimikyu is afraid of this thing. Poison Jab for fairy types, and like I said, Z-move user, I can use Z-moves based off those types. Groundium Z, Poisonium Z, I can use Flynium Z with Aerial Ace, I can use Aquatel and use Waterium Z, even Fightium Z and Superpower, just a wide range of moves that I can hit things with Haxorus. So looking at that, Haxorus is a solid pick. I really want it, and even if I don't sweep with Haxorus, maybe it can chunk a lot of damage to physical walls that makes it easier for Kartana to come in later on in the game and sweep up the rest. So at this point of the draft, I noticed my team was kind of lacking on the physical defense side. Of course, I did have Intimidate users, but I wanted something to be a physical wall, something that can actually live special hits as well, something to set up Stealth Rocks and maybe U-turn out. So Uxie fit that role the best. This thing gets Stealth Rocks, U-turn. This is a solid Pokemon as a physical wall. It has 130 defense, 130 special defense, meaning I can run either or if I had to, and it gets 95 speed. I mean, it's going to outspeed a lot of other options out there, so this is a solid Pokemon. It gets Levitate as its ability. It's immune to ground type moves. So honestly, I felt like this was the best pick looking at all those things I was looking for in a Mon, and this is just a really good Pokemon. So at this point, I went ahead and drafted another physical wall. I knew I had Uxie, but I thought, you know, let's get two physical walls. So I went ahead and got myself Cofagrigus. So Cofagrigus gives me a Ghost-type Pokemon. Also, the main reason I wanted this was that Mummy ability. I can see specific situations where that comes in handy. Say someone tries to sweep me with Mega Lopunny, I send out this, it loses its Scrappy ability, and it can't touch me very well. It has 145 defense, so it's going to take some hits pretty well. It's got 105 special defense. It's not the best, but it will take some hits there as well. The special attack is 95, and it does have Nasty Plot, so I could start setting up with this thing if I wanted to. This thing also gives me Trick Room. Say someone wants to use a Trick Room team against me, I can send this out and take advantage of their own Trick Room. And honestly, at this point, that's something I was actually looking for. Slower Pokemon that would dissuade my opponent from using Trick Room on me. So this gives me a physical wall that actually thrives in the Trick Room environment. So at this point, I noticed the two physical walls that I picked out were weak against Dark-type Pokemon. So what I needed now was a good Fighting-type Pokemon. And actually the Fighting-type that I really wanted was already gone, that being Hitmonlee. So I went ahead and picked another Fighting-type Pokemon, and this is one that I've used before. And I picked Scrafty. So I've used Scrafty before in the PGBL Season 3. This is a really nice Pokemon here. I've used it and it actually does some decent stuff. It has Intimidate, so I can try to intimidate things. Moxie, if I decide to go with that. Try to get some stat boost. Shed Skin, say someone's trying to burn me, I can just shed that away. But honestly, I think Intimidate will be the most useful on this Pokemon. And it does have some decent bulk too. 115 defense, 115 special defense. That is really good, and that's really nicely balanced between the two. 90 attack is pretty good as well. Not the best, but you can go for a Dragon Dance with this thing and get some more pressure with that. You can also run a bulk up set, and that actually helps out with that defense as well. Of course, that means you have to get rid of the Assault Vest, and I do feel like Assault Vest is a solid thing for Scrafty, but I could see bulk up working in a lot of situations too. But yeah, this thing is a really solid fighting type Pokemon. I needed a fighting type at this point. I didn't have one on my team yet, and Scrafty actually works out pretty well. So now we were here at the last Pokemon. Of course, originally I was going to draft Typhlosion just to have it on the team as, you know, the mascot of the team, but it was actually taken already. So at this point, I had to pick out another Pokemon, and this time I was going to pick out a ground type, because looking at my team, other than Manectric being in base form, I don't have much in the way of taking on electric types. So looking at that, I went ahead and picked my ground type. So Mudsdale was my last pick, and this thing honestly does different things for my team. It gives me a electric type immunity, which I really needed. And this thing is a really nicely bulky Pokemon. 100 HP, 100 defense, 85 special defense. Special defense isn't the best, but I can see it helping me out in a lot of situations, especially paired with that HP stat. It has 125 attack, which is honestly pretty good. I can actually use that to try to chunk out some more health on certain Pokemon, so Kartana can come in and try to sweep up. That 35 speed actually will help me out if my opponent tries to bring a Trick Room team. I can have Mudsdale take advantage of that too. Another thing I really like about this Pokemon is it has that stamina ability. Every hit it takes, it gets a boost in defense, and I can see that helping out in a lot of situations. Another thing is this gives me another Pokemon that knows Stealth Rocks, so I can set up Stealth Rocks with that. Roar is really nice on this thing. Someone tries to set up on me, I can roar them out. Problem with this Pokemon, it doesn't really have a good way of gaining health back. I think Rest is its really only option. But yeah, if I want a more offensive Mudsdale, I can do that. This thing gets close combat. Heavy Slam is a really good steel type move on this thing because it's such a heavy mon. Earthquake, of course, is its main go-to though, but honestly, I felt like this thing fit the team very well, so that's why I went ahead and got Mudsdale as my last pick. So there it is, the Kentucky Typhlosions here in the NGDL. So do you like this? Give it a thumbs up. Is there some Pokemon that you are excited about seeing on this team? Put that in the comments. And I'm going to leave a link to the Killer Nacho's video. He has a video going through all the teams, so if you want, go ahead, check that out. See the other teams, see what Pokemon they picked out for their team. And I will see you in the next Pokemon video.